Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today we are covering Halloween Kills, and we have a special guest to join us this episode. But before
Michael himself.
Yes, Michael is here. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. So today I am drinking the Plum Deluxe Reading Nook Blend Black Tea.
Our favorite.
Yes, I need something soothing but still caffeinated today. It's got black tea, rosebuds, lavender, chamomile, and natural flavor. And just a quick tip, this one, I don't know if all of their teas have this, but this particular kind has a non-caffeinated option if you so wish.
Yes, which is lovely. We don't find that often.
Yes.
And I am drinking Bigelow's Mint Medley Herbal Tea, and it is caffeine-free and all-natural. It has peppermint leaves, spearmint leaves, rose hips, lemon peel, and hibiscus.
But, as always, thank you so much to Plum Deluxe for allowing us to continue to do what we love, and for our tea sippers out there. Brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So for the summary of Halloween Kills,
It's every Halloween movie ever, apart from the third one.
Yeah, it doesn't really have that focus of a storyline. I mean, it takes place right after
Halloween 2018.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it picks up right
immediately after.
Yeah, it's like Laurie Strode, she's in the hospital and she thinks that Michael is dead while her grandkid and kid or adult child are like, oh no, Michael's actually alive, and so they're like trying to prevent her from finding out, and then she finds out, but then also the whole town finds out, and like they have like this bar scene where they're like talking about essentially like the 40-year trauma that the neighborhood has had and the people still have. And that translates to them all becoming a mob and trying to kill Michael. And of course, they do a terrible job and Michael doesn't die. That's it.
It's every Halloween movie ever.
Yeah.
Michael goes on a killing spree. He gets out of whatever he was in, be it an institution or some kind of trap, death trap. In this case, a fire. And then goes on a killing spree. Some people try to stop him, and they die.
Yep. But for entertainment, I would rate this a 6.5. Like, comparing it to other movies that I've watched, this really isn't too bad. It's not great, and it's frustrating to watch.
It's extremely frustrating.
But it's not like, oh my god, I can't stand to watch this movie. So that's why I rated it a 6.5. But I will say this movie gave me a little bit of nostalgia because they kind of kept, like the previous movie too. It's like where they kept the theme music, they kept the same like font and
Same
the pumpkins.
actor or actress.
Yeah. Is that they very much keep the same mood as like the original two. I feel like the movies after the two or the second one kind of like lose that like feel.
And they're just not as good.
Yeah, so it's kind of refreshing to have it go back to basics. The theme music, I noticed Cody Carpenter was a part of the music team. So I don't know I'm assuming that would maybe be John Carpenter's son or
Some kind of relative? Maybe?
Yeah, some kind of relative. But you can tell, like, the music, it has some extra embellishments to the theme. Like, they kind of, like, update it in a way.
little, but it's still the same iconic tune.
Yeah. And then a lot of parallels in this movie. I don't know if they did it on purpose or they ran out of ideas, or I hope it was on purpose, because there was quite a few. But, like, first, with Laurie being brought to the hospital. That's reminiscent of the second movie. The nurse having her hair grabbed through the window again, just like the way it was grabbed in the first movie. Michael's mask attempting to be ripped off when it was taken off in the first movie. I guess like there's like the reboot, they like did the whole like take off the mask too, but it's just a lot of callbacks to like the original like 2 movies. But
They
besides,
flipped the script on the doctor, but that was, I guess, the previous movie, technically.
yeah. But overall, the movie in general had some pretty good effects. I mean, Halloween in general, typically, well, okay, the first 2 movies. We're just going to ignore that the other ones exist for now. The first 2 movies, their effects are fairly decent. And so this one, most of the effects were the same par, but there were a few scenes where me and Jess were like, whoa, like that's a really bad effect. So I don't know why like so many of them were at one level and then others just like dove off a cliff in quality. But
I don't know if they rushed those in particular or what.
Yeah, like the bad effects, it felt like watching like an old 80s horror or like I guess a Nightmare on Elm Street movie where it's like it's so terrible, but you just like go with it.
It's not too awful, but it's still just, it takes you out of the immersion.
Yeah, but it's like, I know Jess tried to stop as many spoilers as possible. I didn't have any spoilers before watching the movie, but I did know that whenever it came out, a lot of people were shitting on the movie, and I can definitely tell where they're coming from, but it wasn't quite as bad as I was expecting. But I do feel like whenever I'm expecting a movie to be absolutely terrible, that's never quite as bad as I think it's going to be. So maybe it's because the bar for me was like really low. So maybe if the bar was higher, I would have hated the movie a lot more. But it's like, it's like maybe I'll watch it one more time, but it's not going to be my go-to Halloween movie. There are so many more better Michael Myers movies than this one. And I feel like this one, even a year after its release, has kind of like fallen into history already.
So I went into it completely blind. I was excited to watch it, but I made sure not to listen to any spoilers or even look at any reviews or anything. So clean slate for me. And I give it a 6. It's not horrible, and I'll probably watch it here and there, but it's definitely not going to be the first one I grab. The one before this, I feel, was even better, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's because it had been so long, and so the tension was there, and everyone had their energy back, their motivation to make a great movie.
And the effects were better. The traps that Laurie set up in that movie were better. And granted, there weren't really any traps in this one, but still.
Yeah, what?
The scares that Michael creates were better.
Yeah, I also like the mood of that movie better, where it's like this, older woman being haunted by like trauma and is like, I'm done with this shit. Like, I'm gonna get taken care of. And
she's been preparing 40 years for this.
Yes.
And she reconciled also with her daughter and connected more with her granddaughter in that movie. In this movie, she was out and unconscious for like half of it. So
she really didn't do much in this movie.
Not really. I mean, understandably so. She had just gone through surgery, like major surgery after being stabbed. But yeah, it fell short, and we'll get to this in the realism because it just hurt to watch a lot of things. There were so many dumb decisions made and things that just didn't make that much sense that it was more frustrating to watch than anything. And I feel like even in the other movies, there were a few bad decisions, but overall it felt more realistic. And this one, it was dumb decisions so they could move the plot along and so that they could have more gore. Like, you can make it a bloodfest, without having all the stupidity.
Yeah.
You can. I promise you can.
It just takes a little bit harder fumbling.
Just a little bit of effort. Like, for instance, if you have a gun, chances are you're not going to step where your hand is within 6 inches of the person that has a giant-ass knife. It is a ranged weapon. It's not a melee weapon. They're going to stand a few feet back out of, slicing range. But again, we'll get there. So, overall, it was all right to watch. It was very frustrating. The fight scenes dragged a little bit, I feel like. Like the mob scenes especially.
Yeah.
They dragged a little bit, and again, people were stupid in them. So, it was more of a kind of a filler one, I feel like. Like, I'm not sure how this next one's going to be that's going to come out really soon. Well, I guess it already came out by the time we air this. But, technically. I'm not sure how that one's going to be yet, because we're recording this ahead of time. But I have a feeling that in time, it's going to be like you can skip this one and not really miss anything. And just watch the one before and this next one. And just skip this one altogether.
Yeah, because really nothing much happens except for the fact that, like, all the people from the first movie that were, like, kids, they get killed.
And the daughter died.
Yeah, that's it.
But the grandkid is still alive. And Lori is still alive. So, and the Officer Hawkins is still alive. That's kind of the main ones apart from Michael that you need. So,
yeah.
I mean...
Wait, did you say the officer?
Yes, Officer Hawkins.
But he gets killed. He gets his throat slit. Wait,
I don't think he did. No.
The cop that was the father of the girl that died in the first movie in the car. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got killed.
No, he was in the hospital.
Oh, so maybe he didn't actually die.
He lived. Remember, they had a whole scene where they were talking.
I didn't realize that was him.
Yes, that was him.
Oops.
So he's still alive.
I didn't recognize him.
Oh my god.
Whoops.
Yeah, so Officer Hawkins is still alive. They had a whole heart-to-heart scene about how he was saying it was his fault that Michael's still around because he stopped the other officer from shooting him in the head, execution style, way back when. Like, he wanted him brought to justice, and that's why he was in the institution instead of dead. And he was like, I'm not standing in the way of justice this time. So he was apologizing to Lori. He still called her crazy. But he was still, yeah, a little bit.
But, I mean, you would be too.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's still alive. I promise. And we'll see how that ends up next movie. But
yep.
It's one, I could take it or leave it, really.
Yeah. So for realism, this one's going to be pretty low. Just because we iterated how dumb the mob is, and there's just like so many frustrating moments that you're like, there's no way. But for realism, I'd give this a 1.5.
I am so proud of you. You're so harsh with it. I love it.
So, like, first, like, Michael not being woozy, like, in the first scene whenever the firefighters go, like, he was surrounded by fire for, like, a while, and he is just like, smoke doesn't affect me, this is not my weakness, like, it was just, like, nothing. And then, can we just have a collective discussion on why the hell people in horror movies always ask if someone is there?
Yeah.
That is the most annoying. It's like, why would you ask that?
We were making fun of that scene for a good while.
It's just, it's so...
Who's there? Oh, just your friendly neighborhood axe murderer.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I will admit that, like, if I'm home alone and I think I hear something, I'll, like, assume it's my husband. So I'll be like, Steven, is that you? But if I don't hear anything, I grab whatever weapons are in my close vicinity and I go check it out. But I don't keep trying to talk. I'm just, like, silent. But it's like her her husband was like in the living room, I think. Like it's a complete opposite end of the house where noise was coming from.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you ask who is there? I don't know. Maybe it depends on the situation if you have a lot of visitors, but just in that particular scene with no other context, it just didn't make sense.
I did love her husband, though. Can we celebrate that dude? I feel kind of bad that he died. He was one of the smartest ones in the entire movie.
Yeah, his reaction would be my reaction, just shutting the door.
And locking it.
Yeah.
What does he want? Who cares? Call the police.
Yeah. But in that same scene, whenever Michael does kill the husband, unfortunately, and he's coming after his wife, Michael breaks a fluorescent light and then goes towards her, and she literally
Just
stands there. Like, she saw him coming, she saw what he was doing.
She had gotten the door unlocked.
Like, why didn't she... Yeah, like, she had time to like either try and get through the door or run away, or whenever he came up towards her, like try and block him. She just literally stood there.
Literally anything else would have been better.
Yeah, it just attempt to defend yourself.
There was zero self-preservation there.
Yeah. And then there's quite a few scenes like that in the movie, so I'm not going to go over everyone. But there's another scene where they finally have Michael. They stabbed him with a pitchfork. They had him where they wanted him. And they removed the pitchfork. I'm like,
and drop it.
Yes.
They didn't hold it up, ready to defend themselves again with it. No. She tosses it aside.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm seeing if this can go through his head.
Yeah, it's like they've heard, like, especially her, she had no excuse because she heard her mother talking about Michael and how, like, she knew that he was essentially like a demigod. And she still was like, no, this is fine.
Well, she shot him in the face in the last movie.
Yeah.
And then they tried to burn him. Like, he kept moving after she shot him in the face.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yep.
And then she, like, heel stomped him on the stairs, but only once. So disappointed.
And then, like, the mob was just dumb. That's all I'm going to say. But the one thing that gave this movie a 1.5 is quite a few of the injuries looked believable. Granted, if it was the ones with the good effects. So
the good effects were good. The blood was decent. A lot of the wounds looked decent. I believe a 1.5 is fair. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, like, they had tried to establish in the very first movie that he's just a man. He ages just like everybody else. He's not invincible. So I don't understand how he could take all of these injuries and not be dead, first off. Or at least be slowed down.
Yeah, well, it's like, even though they say that he's just a man in the first movie, they still make him, like, pretty...
Oh, he's tough.
Yeah.
He is tough, but he's still human. But in this last movie, they tried to make it sound like he was something else. Like, supernatural.
Yeah.
And that maybe he's not dead because Laurie's alive. Or he gains power with every kill. Like, they actually said that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I watched that movie.
So, it's been a week.
Oh, well, sorry, I thought you were talking about the 2008.
No, this current one. They were saying it in this current one. That he gains power with every kill he makes.
See, for me, I thought that they were more like kind of fueling their fear in a way. You know how, like, rumors start that kind of like perpetuate the fear of something?
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's kind of the only thing that explains why he's able to get back up after he had a pitchfork through him. But, let's see. I had stopped writing after a little while because just the way the fights were going, it was so stupid. I couldn't write everything down. There was just too much. That was so unbelievable. But, like, in the fire scene at the very, very beginning, he didn't die from smoke inhalation. Or even get woozy, like you said. Like, he would have been feeling some kind of effect from it.
Something.
He was where the fire started. That's the point of origin. That's going to be the hottest. It's going to be the worst.
But it seemed pretty clear whenever he like opened
fairly
up.
clear, but at the same time, like, it's generating a lot of smoke. That area is going to be filled first.
Yep.
Before it travels to other places. And yeah, it is going to dissipate to other places, but it's still going to be like concentrated there. And he would have been feeling some kind of effect from it. But he's fine and moving around just fine, like he has his own damn oxygen tank. Also, the water hoses that firemen use are, I feel like, way more powerful than they were showing in the movie. He was walking through that stream up to the firefighter that was holding the hose, when that hose should have easily at least knocked him down.
Yeah.
But, God, and the eye gouging effect, that was the worst one, I feel like. When he gouged out the eyes. The effects of that one were the worst of the kills, for sure. But most of the other things, the mob mentality I can see happening, but logic would take over for some things, like when they thought the mental patient was Michael, and they kept saying, well, he was wearing a mask all the time, nobody knows what he looks like, then why are you chasing this dude? Also, Michael is hella tall. Like, he towers over almost everyone in the entire movie. Almost everyone. And this dude is shorter than most people in the movie, or at least the same height. So, or at most, rather, the same height. So, they're chasing this dude around, and nobody stops and thinks, you know, he's kind of short to be Michael. This doesn't make sense.
I think it's the mob mentality, though, because it's like I have heard stories in real life where someone or a group of people thought that someone was like a killer or you know, other criminals, and end up hurting or killing that person, and then later on the detectives are like, you know, these people completely lost their mind because this person, don't do that, the mic picks it up.
I had to turn it, I'm sorry.
Pick it up. Anyways, sorry, audio listeners and video listeners. But the detectives, like, later on are like, well, he didn't match this description. He didn't match this description. Like, at the end, it's just people.
It's all based on fear.
Yeah, people just, like, almost twist it so it fits their narrative. It's like when you're so fearful, you just want something to happen if nothing is happening.
But also, the people that do know what he looks like, nobody listened to them. Yeah. Not a single one. When they were shouting at people, it's not him. We've seen him. It's not him. It just didn't make that much sense.
I don't know. It's like I know mob mentality can be extremely strong, though I'm not an expert on it. So it's like, in my mind, I think that that's totally possible. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe it at least helped, like, disperse them up. Like, if you at least saw some people being like, oh, okay, it's not Michael, but then having, like, a few, like, crazy few.
Yeah, I can understand a few that are just bound and determined not to listen. But the whole mob, not a single person was listening. That just seemed a little far-fetched.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, then we don't have enough time in the world to go through how stupid and unrealistic most of the kills were. We just don't. Watch it for yourself, guys. But, like, even the simple fact of them not loading the guns all the way, especially the revolvers, which standard revolvers are generally 6 shots. I believe a couple have maybe a bit more, like 1 or 2 more, but most of them are 6 shots. Most of the revolvers shot they were using far less bullets. And they were like, it's empty. Like the lady in the car.
Yes.
She shot 5 times. I went back and rewatched it and counted. She shot it 5 times. Supposed to have 6 shots. So the only reason that they left it out there was so that she wasn't able to shoot Michael in the face. That's it. That's the only reason I can think of. Because if you're going out there to kill this dude, and you know that everything else has failed, and you are like, this is the only option we have is to shoot him in the head, because every other shot has been the body, which I also don't understand, then why wouldn't you make sure your gun is fully loaded when going out to fight this seemingly unstoppable person? I know movies got a movie, but again, you don't have to do these things to make it movie.
And it's like all you can think of is creating scenarios like that, like one after the other, then should you really be making that movie?
Well, I mean, they could have had an easy fix, too. They could have had it fully loaded with the 6 shots and just have her shoot another random time, like she was before, wasting bullets. They could have easily. Or they could have made her hesitate and have him move the gun just out of the way to where it grazed him or went just past him and didn't actually hit him. And then she tries again, but the gun's empty now. Like, they could have easily done these things, but they chose not to just because, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I feel like whenever you do have movies got a movie moments, you kind of feel like there's a lack of creativity.
Yes. Or effort.
Yeah.
For me, oftentimes it's the effort. You're lazy. You didn't want to put in the work for it.
Yeah, but I can see from like maybe a director's perspective, they're like, oh, people don't necessarily like want realism or care about realism. I don't know. It's like, I don't know, some directors are just like so focused on this is the mood that we want to create with the scene versus like the realistic standpoint. Like every director is going to be a little bit different, but
They are, and I agree there needs to be a balance.
yeah. Yeah, like a totally realistic movie
Yes.
would be boring.
Most likely. But at the same time, it needs to be fairly realistic, especially when they set it up in this world where he's supposed to be a man. Just a human. But people keep dying because they're stupid. And don't keep hitting him. Like, they've tried everything else and they've heard other people's tales or seen the after effects of what happens when you hesitate or you stop. The mom herself of the grandkid, Lori's daughter, hit him a few times. I was mad when she threw away the pitchfork. But she did hit him again. But she didn't keep going. She didn't make sure. Double tap, guys. Double tap.
Probably dismember.
Yes!
Just to be extra sure.
No one has tried decapitation. Let's give that a shot.
Yeah.
Why not?
Just bury the body.
You'd make
different
sure
areas.
he was dead.
Yeah.
That would be a good way to make sure.
Yeah, because if anything, even if for some way, like, if we're going on the demigod thing, like, if he was technically alive and could be brought back after that, like, at least if you had the body parts, like, separated and in, like, a locked case or whatever, there's no way that he's going to be able to, like, get back together.
And if he does, it'll take a while.
Yeah.
It won't be anytime soon.
Yeah, just
Good
move
luck.
to across the
Yeah.
world. Move to Europe or
Yeah.
something. He's not going to follow.
It's like Jason. Like, he keeps coming back. So, put him in pieces and put those pieces in different areas.
Yeah, what if you did the pieces, like, on opposite sides of the world? And, like, that would take, like...
One on different countries.
Yeah,
Each
or
one
a
on
different continent.
different continents.
And then one in, like, the Mariana Trench or whatever.
Yeah.
Just, like...
Weigh it down as much as you possibly can and toss it over.
Yeah, it's like, there's no way...
Make that his head.
There's no way... And free fish food.
Yes.
Maybe. But it's like there's no way someone would be able to come back from that. Even if they could somehow, like if they're like demigod level and it's like, I will just like reform my body or whatever. There's like, no.
Well, have fun with that.
Good luck. Good luck trying.
Yeah. So there are methods, there are ways that they could make sure that people would stop dying to stupid decisions, but they need to first stop making the stupid decisions.
Yep.
So, I have higher hopes for the next movie. It is, we've heard this before, but it is supposed to be the final Halloween movie, which is honestly what they had said about the movie before this one.
Yeah.
But here
I
we
honestly
are.
thought the previous movie was the perfect ending for it.
It was. It was. They didn't need to touch it. They didn't have to touch it. It was a good ending. It was a good, solid ending.
Yeah.
You didn't need to do this. Why? Why? Was it the money? Was it really necessary? You got other things that you can beat a dead horse over. This is the hill you want to die on.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like producing sequels or shows or whatever to like keep a series going because of money, I hate that mentality, because by the time the series ends, it's just ruined, and all of the fans feel like a sense of
Cheated.
like, yeah, because you don't have that satisfying like, oh, that was an amazing ending, and it makes you
Everything was
even more
leading
excited.
to this.
Yeah, it's like, use merchandise as your way to get money.
Yes. Make a game. If you really want to capitalize on it and all, make a game.
Like, I would totally play a Michael Myers game.
Case in point.
I would pay $60 for that game.
Case in point. Especially if you can make it a type of game where you can play as either the victim or Michael.
Oh my god. Like, I would love... Okay, this might make me sound psycho. I promise this... I don't mean anything by this, but it would be so cool to play as Michael Myers. And
Be
just
cathartic.
like...
I mean, if people are going to make stupid decisions.
It'd be kind of like Jaws the video game, or Maneater.
Maneater. I had the best time playing Maneater.
Yeah, it's like so like relaxing.
You
to,
just
like,
eat everything. That's your
Yeah.
solution as a shark. You just eat the things, all the things. And it's great.
So, but yep.
That's what I got. I have higher hopes for this next movie, but it's cautiously hopeful.
Yeah, like overall, this movie was pretty disappointing, and it didn't really raise the stakes. Like it didn't really need to be a movie.
Yeah. If you just want a bloodbath, okay, fine, go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, and it feels like the repeat of the same formula, without bringing like much to the table at all. It's just very bland.
It's starting to get to the point that Friday the 13th has gotten. Like when they make another Jason movie, it's the same stuff over and over. Usually just different setting. You got a different cast, but it's the same stuff. When you've seen one Friday the 13th movie, you've basically seen them all.
Yeah, it's just that there's so many other like Michael Myers Halloween movies and just Halloween movies in general that I would watch before this one.
Yeah.
But before we close, we do want to say Happy Halloween. I know it's coming out. I believe this episode comes out on the 26th, so a little bit early, but it's never too early to celebrate Halloween. It's always that lead up that's exciting. But thank you so much for joining us today, and please comment on what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, and keep up to date with our content, you can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and most places you listen to podcasts.
And if you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share our content. If you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring and a PayPal, or we have our affiliate link with Plum Deluxe. It does not affect the price of the tea, it just allows us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of the sites mentioned linked below. And until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye!